Israel kills 55 people in Gaza as army intensifying assault. 12 people, including 6 children, killed in overnight Russian attack. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm SAHIH and you're watching World Today. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has strongly condemned the recent attack in Pahalgam, Indian administered Kashmir, describing it as a calculated and inhuman assault which has no place in any civilized society. He said this in his latest Facebook posting on Thursday, cited reports that victims were deliberately segregated before being executed. The Prime Minister described such violence has no place in any civilized society. He added, on behalf of all Malaysians, the Premier extended deepest condolences to the families of the victims. He also wrote, "We pray for the swift and full recovery of those injured." Datuk Seri Anwar also emphasised the need for wisdom and restraint in responding to the tragedy, warning against allowing acts of terror to deepen division. He urged everyone to reaffirm shared commitment in the region and beyond to peace, justice and human dignity. The Prime Minister further called on the international community to support efforts in identifying and prosecuting the perpetrators behind the attack. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof reiterated Malaysia's commitment towards securing domestic energy supply, including increasing renewable energy capacity to 70% by the year 2050.
Bagaimana kita nak mencapai kepada 70% tersebut, di mana kita dah kemukakan bahawa satunya ialah kita tubuhkan jawatan kuasa inter-agencies dan inter-ministry, iaitu JPET yang akan menentukan arah tuju dan keperluan bekalan tenaga di peringkat negara kita, dan juga bagaimana kita nak memastikan bekalan ini akan tetap ada. Bukan saja terjamin bekalan, tapi juga bekalannya nanti mampu dibiayai, dan pada masa yang sama kita akan menjaga konteks alam sekitar, environmental sustainability, kelestarian alam sekitar yang kita jaga.
He was met after the plenary sessions at the Future of Energy Security Summit recently. Datuk Seri Fadilah also supported the statement by the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, IEA, Dr. Fatih Birol, regarding the diversification of energy supply in the future. Gaza rescue teams and medics said Israeli airstrikes killed at least 55 people on Thursday as the military threatened an even larger offensive if hostages were not freed soon. Israel resumed its military assault in the Gaza Strip on 18 March after the collapse of a 2-month ceasefire that had brought a temporary halt to fighting in the blockaded Palestinian territory. Israel's army chief, visiting troops in Gaza on Thursday, threatened to expand the offensive in Gaza if hostages seized during Hamas' assault on Israel were not released. The warning came as the army issued fresh evacuation orders for northern areas of Gaza ahead of a planned attack. Earlier in the day, 6 members of one family, a couple and their 4 children, were killed when an airstrike leveled their home in northern Gaza City. According to a statement from the Indonesian hospital, 9 people were killed and several wounded in another strike on a former police station in the Jabalia area of northern Gaza, where the casualties were taken. The civil defense said in another deadly attack, the bodies of 12 people were recovered after the Hajj Ali family home, also in Jabalia, was struck. Medics and the civil defense agency reported another 28 people were killed in strike across the territory. UN spokesman Stephanie Dujarric said Wednesday night that the UN humanitarian aid operations in Gaza can only be conducted in accordance with the principles of humanity, neutrality and independence. He noted that food supplies are dangerously low throughout Gaza and that cases of malnutrition are rapidly increasing. Dujarric emphasized that living conditions throughout Gaza are appalling. He said that 75% of the population is exposed to open sewage and waste, causing extremely serious health problems. Dujarric called on influential member states to take the necessary measures to ensure that humanitarian aid can once again reach Gaza and be distributed to those in need. He was responding to a question about reports that Israeli officials stated at a meeting of the Security Cabinet on Tuesday that aid in Gaza would be distributed by the military or American companies. An overnight Russian combined missile and drone attack triggered fires, smashed buildings and buried residents under rubble in the Ukrainian capital Kiev, killing 12 people and injuring more than 70. 6 children were reported to be among the injured. The most serious incident was an apartment building destroyed in the Sevastopolsky district west of the city centre. An air raid alert was in effect in the capital for 6 hours. Rescue teams, the emergency service said, were operating at 13 sites in the capital with climbing specialists and sniffer dogs. Fires had broken out in garages, administrative buildings, and falling metal fragments had struck vehicles. There was no command from Russia. The attack come at a critical moment in the war that began with Russia's invasion in 2022, as both Kiev and Moscow are under pressure from the United States to show progress towards a peace deal. India and Pakistan exchanged an escalating series of tit-for-tat diplomatic measures on Thursday after New Delhi blamed its regional rival for backing a deadly shooting and attack in contested Kashmir. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi vowed to hunt down the gunman responsible for killing 26 civilians in the tourist spot of Pahalgam on Tuesday, accusing Pakistan of supporting cross-border terrorism. Indian police have identified 2 of 3 fugitive gunmen as Pakistani. The attack at Pahalgam is the deadliest attack on civilians in contested Muslim-majority Kashmir in a quarter of a century. New Delhi suspended a water-sharing treaty, announced the closure of the mainland border crossing with Pakistan, downgraded diplomatic ties and withdrew visas for Pakistanis on Wednesday night. On Thursday, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif convened a rare meeting of the National Security Committee with top military officials. In response to India's accusation and measures, Islamabad is expelling Indian diplomats and military advisors, cancelling visas for Indian nationals with the exception of Sikh pilgrims and closing the main border crossing from its side. Pakistan also warned any attempt by India to stop the supply of water from the Indus River would be an act of war. The Bangladesh interim government's reform program has received strong support from Qatar. Bangladesh Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus and Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani held talks in Doha on Thursday to boost bilateral cooperation. According to a statement, Yunus sought Qatar's full diplomatic, financial and investment support for building a new Bangladesh. Bangladesh also sought Qatar's support in facilitating the return of Rohingya refugees to their homes in Myanmar with dignity. Meanwhile, the Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani urged the Bangladesh leader to send a technical team to Qatar to hold discussions on a wide range of cooperation. He also assured that Qatar will provide all possible supports to rebuild Bangladesh. Bangladesh is rebuilding itself through various reforms after Sheikh Hasina was ousted as Prime Minister in a student-led mass uprising last year. Brazilian Supreme Court Judge Alexander de Moraes rejected former Brazilian President Fernando Collor de Mello's challenges against a previous conviction and ordered his immediate arrest. The orders come after the Supreme Court in 2023 sentenced Collor, the first president to win the popular vote after the end of Brazil's last military dictatorship in 1985, to 8 years and 10 months in prison on corruption and money laundering charges. In his decision, Morales also requested a session with the full Supreme Court to decide whether to uphold or reject his decision. The 2023 conviction followed Brazilian prosecutor's office accusation that Collor received around $5.28 million in bribes from a then subsidiary of state-run oil company Petrobras. Collor took office as president in 1990 but did not finish his term as Congress decided to impeach him 2 years later amid a separate corruption scandal from which Supreme Court acquitted him in 1994. Then he later was elected senator. A student killed a girl and wounded 3 other pupils in a stabbing spree on Thursday at a French private school. The youth, whose identity has not been revealed, was overcome by teachers after staging attacks in several classrooms. He was detained by police but hospitalized after a psychiatric examination. The suspect sent a rambling email to other students just before the attacks. In it, the suspect sent a long email to other pupils in which he said globalization has transformed our system into a machine to decompose humanity. He advocated a biological revolt to facilitate a return to the natural order of things, even if cruel instead of globalized ecocide. In the latest case to shock France, the assailant attacked fellow students with a knife at the Notre Dame due to Test A-Days grammar school in the western city of Nantes. 1 of 3 wounded, a girl who was said to be in critical condition. President Emmanuel Macron, writing on X, said the courage of the teachers who floored the youth had prevented a higher toll. Prime Minister François Bayrou urged an intensification of controls in and around schools following the attack. He called for a response to the endemic violence among some youth and demanded proposals to prevent further knife attacks. Still to come, China denies talking to Washington over tariff. China on Thursday denied any suggestion that it was in active negotiations with the administration of US President Donald Trump over tariffs. Contradicting with President Donald Trump said talks were underway for a potential trade with the world's second largest economy. Guo Jiakun, a spokesman for China's foreign ministry, said China and the US are not having any consultation or negotiation on tariffs, still less reaching a deal. Meanwhile, Chinese officials mentioned any claims about the progress of China-US trade negotiations are groundless and have no factual basis. They affirmed China's position is consistent and China is open to consultations and dialogues, but any form of consultations and negotiations must be conducted on the basis of mutual respect and in an equal manner. On Wednesday, US President Donald Trump had told reporters that everything's active when asked if he was engaging with China, although his Treasury Secretary had said there were no formal negotiations. The Trump administration has imposed tariffs up to 245% on Chinese imports, while Beijing retaliated with 125% tariffs on all imports from the US. The United States is poised to offer Saudi Arabia an arms package worth well over $100 billion. The proposal was being lined up for announcement during US President Donald Trump's visit to the kingdom in May. The offered package comes after the administration of former President Joe Biden unsuccessfully tried to finalize a defense pact with Riyadh as part of a broad deal. The White House, Pentagon and Saudi Government Communications Office did not immediately respond to requests for comment. In his first term, Trump celebrated weapons sales to Saudi Arabia as good for US jobs.
As you know, Saudi Arabia is a big purchaser of American products and especially of American military equipment. We make the best in the world by far, and we appreciate that they do. They create at least 1 million jobs are created by the purchases made by Saudi Arabia.
So with you, Mr. President, we did a lot of great achievement in the political side, security side, military side, and economical side, especially. Been never done before. Right. So I believe that will contribute in our both country good for GDP growth, job creation, and more safety for both countries. So we hope to do more.
The US has long supplied Saudi Arabia with weapons. In 2017, Trump proposed approximately $110 billion of sales to the kingdom. As of 2018, only $14.5 billion of sales had been initiated, and Congress began to question the deals in light of the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Some investors' trading accounts have been hacked and used for unauthorized share buying on Bursa Malaysia. The Securities Commission Malaysia (SC) and Bursa Malaysia Berhad have also received reports from a few brokers who identified failed client logins and unauthorized access of all trading activities executed through a limited number of clients' online trading accounts. In a joint statement, SC and Bursa Malaysia said capital market regulators and brokers are on alert and remain vigilant while working closely to ascertain the root cause of the incident and to implement any further necessary measures following alerts from brokers on Thursday. The statement also advised all brokers to immediately alert clients to undertake password logging credential reset to enhance the security of their accounts, as well as implement additional security measures to enhance authentication, such as implementing multi-factor authentication and stricter password policies. The regulators said the actions were taken to minimize the risk of further unauthorized access and trading. Both regulators assured that the integrity of Malaysia's capital market remains intact and the market will open as usual today. Affected investors reported that the hacking primarily facilitated fraudulent transactions involving the shares of Bina Puri Holdings Berhad and its warrant B shares of Post Malaysia Berhad, as well as certain Hong Kong structured warrants. South Korea's Data Protection Authority announced on Thursday that Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek transferred user information and prompts without permission when the service was still available for download in the country's app market. It added DeepSeek also sent content in AI prompts entered by users to Beijing Volcano Engine Technology Company Limited, along with device, network and app information.
당초 딥시크는 개인정보를 중국 및 미국 소재의 회사로 이전하면서 서비스 개시 시점에 이용자로부터 국외 이전에 대한 동의를 받거나 처리 방침에 공개하지 않고 있었습니다. 특히 딥시크는 기기 정보, 네트워크 정보, 앱 정보 외에 이용자가 AI 프롬프트에 입력한 내용을 볼케이노사에 전송하고 있는 것이 확인되었습니다.
The agency has decided to issue a corrective recommendation for DeepSeek to immediately remove AI prompt content transferred to Volcano Engine and establish a legal basis for transferring personal information abroad. Meanwhile, DeepSeek told the agency that the decision to send information to Volcano Engine was to improve user experience and that it had blocked the transfer of AI prompt content from 10th April. On a related note, the Chinese government announced it has not and will never ask companies to collect and store data illegally.
中国政府高度重视并依法保护数据隐私和安全，从来没有也不会要求企业或个人以违法形式采集或存储数据。中方一贯反对泛化国家安全的概念，将经贸科技问题政治化的做法。同时，中方也将坚定维护中国企业的合法权益。
In February, South Korea's data agency suspended new downloads of the DeepSeek app in the countries after it said DeepSeek acknowledged failing to take into account some of the agency's rules on protecting personal data. Google parent Alphabet on Thursday reported profit of $34.5 billion in the recently ended quarter, powered by its cloud computing and artificial intelligence operations. Overall revenue at Alphabet grew 12% to $90.2 billion compared to the same period a year earlier, while revenue for the cloud unit grew 28% to $12.3 billion. Alphabet Chief Executive Sundar Pichai said the strong quarterly results reflect the healthy growth and momentum across the business. He touted the latest Gemini software as Alphabet's most intelligent AI model and extraordinary foundation for the Silicon Valley company's innovation. Alphabet shares were up more than 3% in aftermarket trades that followed release of the earnings figures. Investors have been watching closely to see whether the tech giant may be pouring too much money into artificial intelligence. Google and rivals are spending billions of dollars on data centers and more for AI, while the rise of lower-cost model DeepSeek from China raises questions about how much needs to be spent. sports, Alcaraz suffers second round exit in Madrid. Stay with us.
Membakar semangat juang dua pasukan. Pemburuan tahta terulung bakal dimuktamadkan dengan pertembungan dua gergasi. Harimau Selatan kini bersedia merempuh pertahanan kebal skuad Top Gajah. Nantikan penentuannya dalam siaran langsung perlawanan akhir Unify Gala Malaysia 2024-2025. Johor Darul Takzim bertemu Sri Pahang FC 26 April 8 malam di saluran OK dan Sukan RTM. Juga penstreaman langsung di RTM Klik. Deruman jentera moped berbagai kategori terus menggegar dalam perlumbaan motosikal Petronas Malaysia Cup Prix musim 2025. Dengan jiwa kelajuan, nantikan pecutan kemenangan setiap pelumba hanya di RTM.
Real Madrid midfielder Eduardo Camavinga is set to miss the rest of the season after he was diagnosed with a groin injury on Thursday. The French international sustained the injury during Real Madrid's 1-0 win over Getafe in La Liga on Wednesday. Madrid, in a statement, said tests carried out on Camavinga reveal he has been diagnosed with a complete rupture of the left adductor tendon. Spanish media report Camavinga will miss the Copa del Rey final on Saturday against rivals Barcelona, as well as Madrid's final 5 league games as they try to overhaul the Catalan leaders. Camavinga may also miss the Club World Cup this summer in the United States, with some reports suggesting he will be sidelined for 3 months. The 20-year-old has struggled for form this season at Madrid after playing an important role in their conquest of a La Liga and Champions League double last year. In tennis, world number 3 Carlos Alcaraz withdrew from the Madrid Open on Thursday with a thigh injury in a blow for his French Open title defence preparations. The Spaniard, a 4-time Grand Slam winner, sustained the problem during his Barcelona Open final defeat last Sunday by Holger Rune. Alcaraz was hoping to lift the trophy in Madrid for the 3rd time after his 2022 and 2023 victories. The 21-year-old had not trained all week after arriving in the Spanish capital on Monday. Alcaraz did not rule out competing in the Italian Open and said he was sure he would make the French Open with the main draw beginning on 25th May. Alcaraz said in addition to the right thigh injury he suffered in Barcelona, he had also noticed a problem with his left hamstring. He has struggled for consistency over the first few months of the year, knocked out early in Miami, but then winning the Monte Carlo Masters in April. In Madrid, defending champion Iga Swiatek survived a scare to beat rising teenage star Alexandra Ila 4-6, 6-4, 6-2 on Thursday and reached the 3rd round in the Spanish capital. The 19-year-old Filipina previously beat Swiatek in straight sets on a shock run to the Miami Open semi-finals in March. Ila broke Swiatek in the first game and produced 2 battling holes on her first 2 service games, saving 2 break points in each as the Pole hunted for a way back in. Reciting Filipina saved another break point in the 6th game before breaking Swiatek to love for a 5-2 lead in the Madrid sun. Clay court expert Swiatek recovered a break, but Ila was able to serve out her advantage, capturing her 3rd set point. Swiatek only converted 1 of 6 first set break points against the resilient Ila. The teenager again broke in the first game of the 2nd set, but this time Swiatek was able to respond immediately. When Ila broke again for a 3-2 lead, Swiatek followed suit to get back on serve, with the pole raising her level towards the end of the 2nd set. She broke to love in the 10th game to force a deciding set and sped through it, securing breaks in the 2nd and 6th games. Ila wrestled a break back and saved a match point as Swiatek overcooked a backhand, but eventually the reigning champion triumphed as the teenager went long. Roger Federer will serve as the official starter for this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans sports car race in June. The Swiss tennis great, with 20 Grand Slams to his name, will lower the flag to start the 93rd edition of the endurance race at 4 p.m. on 14 June at the Sarthe circuit in northwest France. The Automobile Club de Laos invites a well-known international personality to start the race every year. Last year was flagged away by French Football World Cup winner Zinedine Zidane. Ferrari have won the last two editions. Switzerland's Sebastian Buemi is a four-time winner and triumphed most recently with Toyota in 2022. Other Swiss winners are Neil Jani 2016 and Marcel Fassler 2011, 2012 and 2014. Finland's Carl Rovanperä was fastest after the opening 3 runs of the rally Islas Canarias shakedown on Thursday. The Toyota driver was 2.5 seconds quicker than his Japanese teammate Takamoto Katsuta. Hyundai drivers Ott Tanak of Estonia and defending world champion Thierry Neuville of Belgium in third and fourth place. Championship leader Alfin Evans was fifth, 4.1 seconds slower than Rovanperä and just 2/10 up on GR Yaris Rally 1 colleague Sebastian Ogier, returning to action for the first time since his Monte Carlo win. Adrien Fourmat placed 7th in his Hyundai, and although the Frenchman won this event in 2020 when it featured on the FIA European Rally Championship calendar. Sami Pujari followed in 8th, while M Sport Ford duo Gregoire Munster and Josh Maxilia completed the top 10. Set inland from the Las Palmas base service park, the Santa Brigida test marked the WRC's first kilometers on Spanish roads in 2022. That wrap up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, Israel kills 55 people in Gaza as army intensifying assault. To join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM for more news. Or you can stream us online on RTM Clicks website and mobile app. Till then, I'm SAHIH from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Goodbye for now.